Yep, we're live. It looks like it did work. Yeah, folks, there's only a sort of we know what we're doing here vibe. Last Thursday I had some technical difficulties, and now I'm here with good old TC. And I think he straightened it out. I was making a botch of it. I'm not the technocrat here, but good thing we have them. TC, welcome to the live streams. Good you're here. Thank you for your help.
Oh yeah, thanks, Ricky. I'm excited to hear a chapter from your book today.
Yeah, so we're doing a makeup today because last Thursday we botched it. So I'm gonna give you a little live stream, and then we'll pick up like regular schedule. Hopefully these problems have been fixed. I think they have. Um, so we do a short show. It's a Babbletron read. Babbletron after the fire. Check out our YouTube channel and other sources for our live stream where we have other reads. I have read chapters 1 and 2 already. So if you want to go back and check that out, please do. But this is chapter 3 of my novella, Babbletron After the Fire. The name of the chapter is Echoes of Modern War. Night fell like a blackout. No stars, no moon, and nothing electrified for miles around. Big Daddy's optics helped considerably with what would otherwise have been a groping bluff into the unknown. BD traveled like this for hours, only to finally arrive at a pre-fire industrial park. Chunked out sprawl turned into endless office buildings and warehouse complexes, places where corporate frivolity used to rule supreme. Now they were ghosted out death traps with potential drifters and users of all sorts skulking around for opportunities. Big Daddy dashed toward one of the outlying buildings, back to the wall, having drawn a pistol while checking his corners. The coast seemed clear, so he gradually made his way along the wall toward a ladder. Felt lucky that there was such a ladder, wishing for a way up above everything. There was no gate blocking the rungs, so BD holstered his pistol and climbed up carefully. Before he knew it, he stood on the rooftop, gazing out over the other roofs and into the distance. A column of black smoke twisted in the rising wind, bringing an irritating stink along with the sudden change in direction. Big Daddy ducked behind an old climate control module just in time to avoid a hovering security drone. The jet black egg-shaped flyer had blinking blue and red lights, and Big Daddy remembered their nasty bag of tricks. Infrared optics, almost as good as his own, a cyber modem jammer, and double 50 cal automatics with at least enough rounds to give someone a bad day. BD played it cool, sitting on his heels back to the module, waiting to see what came next. A text shot across his optical field, being joined soon after by GPS-directed arrows, just like before. Not all these drones are foes. I have one among them, but you're going to have to play it smart. It is better for you if we don't have another firefight, yes? It was Sinflake again. Back in his head, back messing around for his betterment. Big Daddy asked himself in his deepest thoughts why she would do this for him. She, he, it, whatever this Sinflake was, seemed to identify as female, but she was no mere meat jacket. The way circumstances rippled around her influence gave BD the impression that she was not entirely human. He wondered at the true nature of this surveillance and just how deep it went. Who or what was behind it? In any case, he was glad to have help moving through the Dead Zone's wilderness, wandering between the focus of his threat assessment and just what help would cost him. He was being played like was he being played like a chess piece? Big Daddy heard about how some cyber scams on the Wave network look to subdue and subvert cyborgs for their own aims to be fulfilled. BD thought that it felt like one of those jobs from the inside, although if it was, he would likely not be able to tell. The question itself led him to believe that he still called the shots, even though those shots had been stuck in survival mode since the bridge. Running did not mean control. Running meant a loss of control, or at least a tactical retreat. Another text flashed by his optical field, the implications of which drove a stab of dread into Big Daddy's gut. They saw you. Someone, something. They got a millimech en route to your location. Your only hope is to get below, get into the sewers. Hurry. Big Daddy dashed for the ladder. He gripped the side rails and slid down using his boots as a power brake to regulate his descent. Gunshots rang out. Bullets peppered the roof where he had just been standing. A violent explosion brought sudden brightness and a thunderbolt detonation. The resulting shockwave blasted out to the world and cracking all the local window glass. Big Daddy fell the last 10 feet, picking himself up quickly, casting his optics skyward to witness an unmarked drone of a different configuration soaring by at fantastic speed. A series of explosions went boom, boom, boom off into the distance. But Big Daddy had no time to lollygag. He followed the optical arrows toward where Synflake was sending him, trusting that it would not lead to his ignoble demise. BD heard a thudding of something huge strutting toward him. As he ran, Big Daddy unstrapped his grenade launcher, took aim, and fired a big boomer toward the strutting noise. A withered tree smothered in brambles burst into flames as a bluish-white fire smashed through its desiccated mass as the grenade exploded somewhere in the distance. Big Daddy reloaded the launcher as the tree collapsed into a roaring fireball. A second white-hot blast of plasma shot toward Big Daddy, but this one had no tree to catch it. He took aim at the shocking brilliance as he fired another grenade. The resulting blast snuffed the plasma projectile and shattered glass windows up and down the row of buildings nearby. The thudding continued, and Big Daddy saw the thing come into view. The millimech was jet black and bristling with armaments and scanners, looking like a truck-sized spider crab in a Gothic design. It targeted Big Daddy, readying itself to fire. BD hauled ass down the street, but he knew he would not find cover in time. Just as he pinched his eyes closed, preparing himself for certain doom, a bright explosion splashed on top of the millimech, sending it staggering back a few paces before it could fire. Synflake's drone bought him the time he needed to get away, having sufficiently prompted the mech's self-preservation protocol into retargeting. The millimech and Synflake's drone exchanged fire, giving BD time to make his way toward the stink of ages. A small patch of overgrowth signaled the encroaching decay, with echoes of modern war ringing in and out of an open sewer pipe emerging ahead. Big Daddy didn't need to be reminded why this was necessary. Thunderous explosions shook the ground and echoed down the pipe. But that battle was behind him. Big Daddy drew 2 pistols, each tipped with a keen-edged bayonet, jutting out from under the barrel. Though the smell inside the pipe was awful, BD couldn't be bothered. He feared the tales of cannibal slug tongues who gobbled up any fresh meat from the surface that dared to pry into their underworld. His optical text fell silent too, which was no small wonder. Signal down below always dropped off, imposing a limitation to Synflake's power. She couldn't see him down here, or hadn't told him yet if she could. It felt like he was on his own again. He would have to find his way out. Unfortunately, Synflake had previously sent him sewer utility maps. Using these to navigate, BD felt confident that he could make it, provided he didn't run into any subterranean freak shows hunting cybernetic flesh. Sounds of military hardware faded as he wandered through watery archways, past braided portals leading into perpetual darkness. Cascades of scum and rank water flowed into a churning whitewash, fed ceaselessly by the frequent rain. As he surveyed the distance, he saw the light of several blazing fires, looking like torches or gas jets burning high. He looked closer at the flames, and that was when the breath left Big Daddy's lungs. What he saw was a sacrificial ritual of sorts, with bodies hanging from metal bands hooked onto various facades of masonry. Mutant warlocks lofted sharp instruments over deathly pale flesh, the sound of vulnerable terror coming over the echoes as so much murmurous futility. Something in Big Daddy should have known better, but apparently he didn't. Knowing how loud it would be, he discharged the pistol, shooting the sacrificer in the throat while dashing forward toward their altar space. Big Daddy fired several rapid bursts, enough where he felt half deafened by it all. Then, having dropped a few more post-humans, he holstered his iron and drew his long blade. A small host of scumbags converged to resist him, while the rest fled back into the wretchedness from whence they came. BD waited for the sewer scum to bear down on him. Once they were in range, he began a dance of death. There was enough room to move around in this drainage reservoir, so he swung and clove, spinning in tight arcs, and lopped and chopped and slashed away any limbs stupid enough to be in his reach. Arms, legs, heads came free, each in a gushing flow of blood. Rats and insects scurried forth to take part in the carnage, as screaming bodies gargled on toxic fluids, drowning in the organic soup that would consume their remains. The last warlock got slashed laterally at the collarbone, feeling himself slide off and into terminal destruction. Another wave of cannibals flowed around the distant corner. Soon they were on their way to avenge their fallen leaders. Big Daddy cut the sacrifice free from her bonds, hearing her squeaking screams from behind the gag, realizing that she was far from all right at the moment. She was a half-starved bag of bones, so BD slung her over his shoulder fireman style. Fearing a cave-in, he could not risk a grenade down here, otherwise the situation might be going far differently. He dashed toward the clear passage straight ahead, and the cannibals followed them for a while, and then mysteriously fell back. It had only been a couple 100 feet, but after that, nothing. Then came a terrible realization, just the sort of thing that made Big Daddy stop and think for a moment. Why did they stop? A sudden change in the air told him it was for a very good reason. In the path ahead, there crawled a gross mass, slithering through a skin of fetid detritus, mingled with copious piles of fecal waste. Something lived down here, thriving on the overflows of a cannibalistic mass murder. A rumbling growl reverberated against the masonry all around BD, and the little lamb slung over his shoulder began to kick and toss her weight around, as if suddenly aware of their location. Ahead, the creature stirred. The splash of its stalking passage sent brown ripples scattering. BD drew a pistol and fired. Bright muzzle flare revealed the horrific monster in all its hideous desperation. Driven by hunger to root around in this cesspool for human and post-human alike. Big Daddy felt his ears ring off the hook as he fired the whole clip into this thing, seeming only to slow it down, but not kill it. BD holstered the pistol and drew his blade, stepping back and then thrusting the lengthy sword into its onrushing head. The creature inhaled sharply and then began a theatrical death rattle, rolling over to give belly as gallons of putrid waste gurgled from its eviscerating bowels. Waves of infernal stench flooded over them, gripping the guts enough to drive them back repulsively. Once they got back to the reservoir area, the sacrificial lamb tugged at Big Daddy's hood as if she had something to communicate. He ungagged her, and she told him about a way out, about a pipe that led to the surface. Her words were hushed whispers, charged by long months in fearful captivity, locked away from the open air. Big Daddy nodded to her, and they passed without further incident to an exit from the sewers. They lingered only for a short while as Big Daddy reloaded his weapons. He led them to the end of the pipe leading out, and then turned as if to welcome the girl back to humanity with a question.
They call me Big Daddy. What's your name?
Though she had a rash over half her face and thinning, malnourished hair, there was something beautiful about the way she looked at him as she answered. My name is Dawn. Thank you for saving me, Big Daddy. Yes, sir, folks. That's chapter 3, Babbletron, After the Fire. Head on over, please, to Amazon.com, I should say the Amazon app, and buy a copy. If you like what you hear in these readings, if you like cyberpunk, you probably dig it lots. So most of these readings I do myself on days where we're having difficulties, but we happen to have TC here. So TC, how you doing, man?
I'm good. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That was a perfect chapter.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, the vividness of the technology, and it's almost weird because it seems like realistic. It's almost like science. Just take the fiction out of science, right?
Now, you know how we fellas are in this internet age. We got lots of researching, but cyberpunk also has a delicious variety of tropes and things that you could throw, like battle mechs and cybernetics and whatnot. So I just had a blast writing this book when I wrote it, and I'm just going to do it chapter by chapter. I figure, whenever there's nobody around. So thanks a lot, folks. This was our makeup program because last Thursday we had technical difficulties, which surprise, surprise, they were mine. I was the difficulties. But now we got our acts together and we should be returning to you with regular programming. So see you on Monday. And thanks for tuning in again. Have a good weekend. It's a heck of a makeup. Thanks for joining us, TC.